Oh shit.
Onside kicking it as always. Appreciate you guys for hanging in there. Sorry for the delay. Wanted to make sure y'all were here. We got the boy.
It's your boy Sick as Fool. I'm having fun with my shades on. If you can see these little lights, look at that.
Woo, looking fly
Yeah, I think I gotta take the
for
glasses
an
off.
Afghani guy.
Unless I could get these robot eyes in to be
Twist
perfect.
your head a little bit like that. No, you want to get him in there. There you go. There, bam.
There you go.
Hey, add onside kicking it on all platforms. Don't forget, man, if you have Twitter and that's what you use, we're on there. TikTok, YouTube, of course, which you're on now, and of course Instagram. One thing I will suggest, man, make sure you please like and comment and all that fun shit. Subscribe. It helps the algorithms get us going. But most importantly, hit the bell. Rather than me trying to text everyone and obviously missing some people from time to time, please hit that bell. You'll get an alert right on your phone. It's free, and you'll be able to tune in whenever possible. As always on Thursdays, we do the Week 16 preview in this case, starting off with a Thursday Night Football special.
Yeah, what's up? We got the whole squad in the house. What's up, everybody?
What it do?
It's so nice for everyone to join us. So let's just get right into it. We got a fun week this week. Really interesting schedule. Not only do we have a Thursday night game, but we have a full slate of Saturday games and then 3 Sunday games and then a nice little Monday night football. So if you're in the fantasy playoffs, you got some sweats every day, hopefully. Congratulations to my boy Ghost right here who beat me because of bad coaching decision, which I'm not going to say it's a bad coaching decision, but I bench Ramondre Stevenson for Isaiah Pacheco, which I feel like is not the worst start with his injuries and stuff like that. Like I had
We
such
talked
good
about
options.
this last week. That was a rough one, man. I mean, I gotta keep it real with you, bro. It's very difficult to trust someone who's been questionable, might not even play all week, and then of course with Bill Belichick and the way he plays these rushers, man, you never know. So I don't fault you for playing that. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but glad he was on the bench. Let me tell you that much, man.
Yeah, real quick, I want to shout out Coach B. He's saying Jets minus 2.5.
Shout out to Coach.
I don't know, Coach, but I think we need to talk about the Steelers later. I think they're favored to win this game. So
Hey, you know what? This is gonna be a tough game. We'll preview that one. That's a Saturday night, Christmas Eve special. Let's start off with the game, man. Jets are hosting the Jaguars.
okay, so most notable thing is going to be the weather conditions. It's super rainy, and not only is it going to be rainy, but they're having wind gusts up to 40 miles an hour. So I think it's going to be really difficult to throw the ball and kick the ball. So the line's moving towards the under, opened at 38.5, now towards 36.5. It was pick'em, but now it's leaning towards the Jets minus 2.5. And I think it's because the Jets have a pretty good defense, and yeah, I mean, they might be able to contain Lawrence, who's been playing really well this year, but I think normally he would be ranked as like a top 10 QB, like on the back end,
I'll
top
be
10.
honest with you, bro. His last 6 games, he has 13 touchdowns and only 1 interception. And, with bad weather, a lot of people always think low scoring game off default. And as much as I agree with that, I think it's a huge disadvantage for the defense. I played both sides. When you're talking about wide receiver and you're already knowing where you're going on your route, it's extremely easy because the defense is already on their heels trying to get as much traction as possible to stay close. And so I actually give the advantage, which would have been the Jets defense. I actually give the advantage to the Jaguars offense in this case because of 2 reasons. Zach White's gone, right? The quarterback for the Jets is gone. So when you go offense versus offense, I think the Jaguars can put up more points. Now, they've beaten teams like the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. They've beaten teams just last week like the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. So when you're throwing up not Mike White, but I'm sorry, Zach White. Was it Zach White?
It's
Quarterback
Zach
for the
Wilson,
Jets
Mike
was
White.
Mike White.
Mike
When you're taking
Masterclass
Mike
White.
White out and you're putting in Zach Wilson now in his place, I got to go with the Jaguars can outscore the Jets. So I actually like the Jaguars on a money line now that the line's changed, because before when it was a pick 'em, I was still kind of leaning that way. But most importantly, I think it does get off to a slow start. So my pick of the day, I always try and grab one line in the first half that I like to kind of give me some momentum, if you will, to carry me into the second half where I can play some parlays to get some bigger moves. I like the under in the first half for 17.5 points. I can easily see 1 touchdown, but 2 touchdowns and a field goal seems a little high for both teams combined. I can see a couple drives stalling out, a couple field goals, maybe a 10-7 halftime, type of a game. So that's my pick, under 17.5, leaning towards the Jaguars as a pick 'em for the entire game.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with you too. I like the Jaguars. I would actually buy it up to plus 3. It's at
Or
right
you
now.
push if
It was
there's a field
yeah,
at
it was
the end.
moving between 2.5. When it was at 2, it was a little bit more expensive to buy it up to 3. But now that it's at 2.5, you could buy it up to 3 for minus 140. So it's going to be hard to see the Jets throttle the Jaguars, especially with Zach Wilson under center.
I will say this. Jaguars have been scoreless in the first quarter a lot of times this year. So I'm kind of foreseeing the Jets maybe leading at half, but then just like kind of like the Cowboy game where the Jaguars kind of get going in that second half. I'm really curious to see Trevor Lawrence in a whole game. I'll be honest with you. I've never caught one game. I did watch a lot of the Ravens game where the Jaguars upset the Ravens, but I have not seen Trevor Lawrence play a full 60 minutes, like where my eyes are glued to the screen. And it's also a primetime game in this late in the year with some skin in the game. Because if they win, they're getting an opportunity to basically take away and run away with that division. The Titans are slipping up lately. Jaguars are balling lately. So I think they're 4-2 in the last 6 games. 4-2. So I'm curious to see what Trevor Lawrence is. This is a night where I think the organization's going to go, this is our franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
If he fumbles and bumbles and mumbles and can't really put shit together, I could totally see that entire state of Florida, Jacksonville themselves, kind of disown him in a sense and kind of put him in a position where it's just, this ain't the guy.
Yeah.
Shout out to
I'm
Chevy
not
P,
sold.
my guy.
I think he did really good in his pregame showing before he got drafted with that one pass he threw on the runs, and that's it. He tricked everybody, but he's not a really good NFL quarterback. So, anyways, but really quickly,
shout out to all love to you too, P. You know that, bro. Shout out to Coach, bro. Coach, you know I sneak diss the Ravens anytime I get a chance to, bro. You know that's right, and I fuck with you because you know me. You know me real well, bro, and I fuck with you for that, man.
And one last thing I'm going to say before we change games. I agree with you with the weather conditions, and like you said with the rain, for example, when you have an offense defense lining up and the wide receiver knows the route he's going to run, and they don't have that same footing from a defensive perspective. Now the offense can make that move. When he does that double move, that cut inward, that cut outward, it's a lot harder. Yes. But the biggest factor I think that's gonna change is the wind. Exactly. With 40 miles an hour, when you throw that ball, it's not gonna.
That's why it's not gonna be quick slants.
And that's where it's like
out the backfield at Etienne.
But it could be ugly too, and those could just kind of get slipped out of his hand a little high. Could be interception, could be incomplete. I mean, and then they have the opportunity to break off a long play. But the wind and the rain, I think, is what's going to make me lean towards the under. But
Giraffe for fun. Can't wait to see how the this week plays out. Yeah, listen, I'm excited for it as well. Thanks for tuning in. Haven't seen you on the live streams, I don't think, if I'm mistaken. So I appreciate you stepping in here and shooting out some comments, man, and giving us some entertainment. Yes, I can't wait.
Yeah,
picks are coming in right here hot, man. Let's run it.
Yeah, one last thing on this game. Only players I'm starting from the Jags. I'm actually not going to really start Lawrence. Like I said, he was a back-end QB1, and with the weather conditions, he gets pushed out a little bit further. Travis Etienne, you're going to be starting him if you have him. And on the Jet side, Zonovan Knight, I guess, is the only really starter, but I don't think there's any pass catcher that you want to go. Maybe Garrett Wilson, just because he's looked so good, but he doesn't have that connection with Zach Wilson. And also, Corey Davis is also back, too, off the injury report, healthy, so that could be eating into his target share. But let's move into Saturday. We got the Bills traveling to the Bears. The Bills are favored by 8 points, over under 40.5. What do you like in this game? How do you see it playing out?
So the Bears have been like one of those teams that just always figure out ways to stay close. So I don't think it's necessarily a trap game for the Bills. But just like the Eagles kind of struggled to pull away, I can kind of see the Bills in the same kind of situation. So, look, this is one of those games where I try and find the over-under and see if I can find some type of vibe when it comes to that, because you lean towards taking the Bills minus 8 points, but I can see them winning by 7, still handling business, but you don't cover your spread. I can't take the Bears and the 8 points because I can also, more importantly, see the Bills blowing them out than the Bears upsetting them. So this is one of the games I looked at the over-under. I think it was 40.5. For me, this is an over game. I think the Bills can put up 30 by themselves, no problem. Maybe even a 38 type of a scenario. And I think the Bears, because you got Justin Fields, because there's no, Von Miller, that these little scramble plays could potentially put him in a position to get up at least a couple early field goals when they matter, or at least get paid or score a touchdown early on. So I like the over 40.5 when it comes to the Bills and Bears matchup at 10 a.m. on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you too. I'm gonna go Bills -8, and I'm also gonna go the over of 40.5. As Justin Fields started emerging as the star that he is, I've been able to bet him a lot and bet him in a lot of creative ways. So, for example, we were riding the over in the first couple games because they were scoring so many points and they had no defense. And then the last couple matchups, when he's playing against elite quarterbacks, he balls out. And I think it's an ego thing. I think it's a status thing. And I think that Justin Fields is going to be one of the top quarterbacks. So when he gets in those games against top quarterbacks, he's going to play as hard as he can so he can show who he is. But in this specific game, I think the books know that. And I think they see it being a little bit more competitive. But at the same time, the Bills are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. And they're projected, to win the Super Bowl. They have one of the highest odds to win. So I think this is a game where they're going to actually decisively handle business, and it probably will not be close because they will be able to contain Fields. I mean, don't get me wrong, Fields could definitely put them on their back and carry them, but I think they are a little outmatched. I think he isn't a little bit healthy, and the season is pretty much over. So I think in this game, because of how good the Bills are, the Bills won't let it be close, but I do see how Fields could keep it close and keep it competitive. And the Bills, honestly, have been playing down to a lot of teams' competition, so I could see it being a little bit closer.
Shout out to McFly, man. Forget the Jags. Hate. I ain't mad at that, man. I do want to mention that I do have this Bills game in a couple teasers. One of the teasers I have them in, they're actually only favored by 1.5 points, which is phenomenal in my opinion. I think that they should 100% win the game, and it's very difficult to win by 1 or less, clearly. And I also have the Jaguars plus 8.5 in the first play of this teaser to try to get that first win of the night. Those are my 2 teasers so far, and as we go through these games, I'll shine light on the rest of those plays.
Yeah, and then from Buffalo, obviously you're starting Josh Allen, you're starting Stephon Diggs. A little bit of a question mark with Singletary with the emergence of Cook in the last couple games, but I feel like if you've been riding Singletary, you should got to continue to ride him. And then on the Bears side, you're starting Justin Fields, and you're starting David Montgomery, who's been playing really well in the absence of Khalil Herbert. So only a couple of lineup blocks, but you got those guys. Roll them out there. Next game, we got the Saints traveling to the Browns. -3. The Browns are favored. And over under 32. So they're saying it's cold. I've actually heard that Nick Chubb's on the injury report. So obviously he is someone that you have to monitor his status. If he's out, Kareem Hunt, automatic plug-and-play start, must start if he does miss time. I don't think I'm really starting anyone from the Bears. I mean, the Saints, Alvin Kamara possibly. But he's kind of fell off the last couple months, and it's like you don't really trust him.
You got to start Kamara no matter what because it's a close game.
Yeah, you're right.
So he'll get carries and out the passing back if they go down. So you're not comfortable by all means, but you're definitely starting him. It's like if you have Montgomery or Kamara, which one are you starting? You would think Montgomery off top.
Yeah.
But Montgomery had one explosive game last week with 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 pass catching. You take away that one game, man, and you're not just short-minded and you look further into this, man. He's been getting 11 carries, 50, 60 yards a game and getting pay dirt every once in a while. I got both of those players on a team, so it's been difficult to trust either of them. As far as the
well, I just want to go back. The last 4 games, he's been balling without Herbert. He's had 12 rushes for 53. Yeah, so that's the biggest catalyst, obviously. With Herbert, different story. But I think without Herbert, because he's been this way when he's
yards per carry, though. If you look at him historically, 3-4 yards per carry.
But historically, look how much volume he's gotten. They've shown that they're going to give him the volume, and he's been producing from a volume standpoint.
This up. They're playing the Bills, who you believe are going to step on him, which means now you're really hoping that those yards per carry aren't going to be an issue because he's catching out the backfield. And that's the only reason why comfortably you start him in this game, because there's no Khalil and because you know for sure he's going to get pass catching opportunity. So I'm starting both, mind you. I just wanted to bring it up. You got to start Kamara if you have him. There's no way around it.
And from the Brown side, I don't think you could really start Deshaun Watson. Obviously, Chubb, if he's healthy, you're going to start him. Or if he misses time, Hunt, you're going to start. And then from the receiving core, how do you feel about Amari Cooper? Do you start him this week? Or
So I have to start Amari Cooper. He's at home, and he's been balling at home except for last week, but he still did decent. He didn't score a touchdown, but he still was in there. He's on the injury report, too. And so it's been difficult to trust him lately because he's on like a snap count. He was only out there for 42 snaps out of like the 63 there was for the game. So 2/3 of the time he's out there. It's a run-heavy team. I can totally see them getting a lead in this game. So when you're starting Amari Cooper, you're really hoping that he's scoring a touchdown early, and that's what ultimately keeps them where they're going to be. But yeah, to answer your question, I mean, look, dude, Amari Cooper has been solid as a rock at home all year. So you're hoping that eventually him and Deshaun start clicking, and you really hope that he's your guy. I mean, you got to think about who's on your bench at this point that is you're willing to start over him. And there's one person for me, which is Pickens. I think George Pickens has a beast game against the Raiders this week. We'll get into that later. But that's the only one that I'm contemplating on swapping him out for. As far as the spread goes, Browns are favored by 3 points. Me personally, I think this is a get-right game for them. They're still in the playoff contention. It's a must-win for them. The Saints, technically, it's Andy Dalton at a 10 a.m. game.
Yep.
And they're technically still in postseason. And because of that, it makes it a little blurry to kind of understand who wants it more. 10 a.m. game for Dalton, when there's a bunch of 10 a.m. games for him, he's no eyes are on him, and he usually has his best game ever. But I'm going to roll with the same thing. The Browns have phenomenal defense with Ward, had a pick finally last season, with obviously Myles Garrett. He's a disruptor of all things, and I think because Andy Dalton has played the Browns several times in his career, I think that this is another one of those things where he's kind of owned the Browns in a sense, just like we've owned him as the Steelers. So I am curious to see how it goes, but I'm expecting Deshaun Watson to have a really good game. I'm expecting them to finally start getting some chemistry. I'm expecting them to actually make a push for the postseason. So the -3 points is no problem. I'm taking those 3 points, and I'm not touching the under on this particular game because 32 is extremely low. As much as I think it's going to be a low-scoring affair, it's just too low to touch for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm riding the Browns -3. I do see them winning this game and winning it by more than 3 points, obviously. I don't really like to bet on the over-under of 32 points, but if I had to pick, I'm going to actually take the under, only because the Browns haven't been scoring that many points. Their defense looks really good. The Saints' defense is not bad, and I don't really think Andy Dalton's going to score too many points. So I'd have to pick the under of 32 and the Browns -3. Going to the next game, a little bit of a tricky game on paper. Could be a track game, is the Texans traveling to the Titans. Ryan Tannehill is not playing quarterback for the Titans, and the Titans are favored by 3 points with the over-under set at 35.5. So, I mean, I just watched the Titans play against the Chargers. It was a pretty competitive game. The Chargers' defense isn't really healthy. Last week, Derrick Henry had himself a day. That's obviously their game plan. Malik Willis is starting at QB, which I think gives them a different dynamic offense. I'm not going to say dynamic or explosive, but he likes to scramble and use his legs a little bit more, which was going to do some more, RPOs and little options. So I think that could actually free up Derrick Henry when they have to worry about the quarterback running as well. So I'm going to go with the Titans -3. And again, the 35.5 under is so low, but I would take the under of 35. I just don't see the Titans scoring too many points, and the Texans' defense have just been keeping them competitive in these games. They're not scoring at a high clip, but they're getting pretty competitive. So if I had to pick, I would say the under of 35.5, and then secondary, I would take the Titans -3.
Obviously, the only person you're starting in this particular 2 games is going to be the King. I mean, King Henry is literally the only person you're starting at all. I think he has a field day against the Texans. I genuinely do. Texans have one win all year, but they have been extremely competitive the last 2 weeks since they've decided to kind of run this option route wildcat offense with the 2-quarterback scheme. Although the man Driscoll didn't do much, it's still just enough to kind of keep the defense on the heels. With that being said, quarterback switch. I could actually kind of see the Texans getting their second win of the year this game. If they're not now, why not any other time? So watch out for a sneaky little upset there. I'm not touching this game whatsoever. If I had to touch this game, I would take the Texans plus the 3 points because I think no one else in their right mind would ever do that. And I think this is just a simple game that they end up winning outright on some angle or another.
One thing I want to mention is the Jags game's tonight, and I think that's going to make a big factor. If Jags lose, I think the Titans will win this game in decisive fashion. If the Jags win, I think it's going to be a little bit competitive, like a little bit harder, knowing that they're creeping up on their back and that they could do, because the Jags look good. So
the truth is, bro, Jags win or lose, you're playing the Texans. You got to win this game no matter what.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
But if the Jags lose, it's a little bit less pressure. Less pressure.
2 games left, and they're what, 1 game back?
Yeah,
that's it. And I think there's a matchup between them too, no?
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact schedule, but
We'll double check later.
Yeah,
But
we'll get back.
man, I agree with that.
and going to the next game, we have the Seahawks versus the Chiefs. Chiefs are -10, over under 49.5. I mean, right off the jump, you guys know I love the Chiefs so much, but you also know that the Chiefs never cover spread. So a double-digit spread for the Chiefs, they just don't cover. So I'm just going to go with the probability of the Chiefs are going to win, but not cover spread. 49.5. I think there's a lot of points with the Seahawks. Obviously, Lockett's going to be missing the game. They got Kenneth Walker and DK Metcalf. They're going to need some production maybe from their tight ends, Noah Fant or Will Dissly, depending on who plays. From the Chiefs side, obviously you're starting Kelsey, you're starting Mahomes. You got to start Juju too. Other than the games that he's been knocked out with his concussion and the games he's been limited, he's been producing at a WR1 rate. He's getting, over 10 targets a game, 9-10 catches a game, minimum 70-80 yards, possibly a touchdown. So he's been producing at WR1 numbers when he's healthy. And yeah, so I would take Seahawks +10 only because I see the backdoor cover because the Chiefs don't really throttle teams the way they had to. Who do you like in that game?
Well, first off, shout out to JoJo Love. Happy holidays to you too. With my co-host here, Sick as Fool, and Coach
Happy
B
holidays.
Geno Smith and the points. To me, this is extremely easy, which bothers me. I don't like when games are too easy. I have the Seahawks and Chief games in all of my plays, but I have it all different. So I do have the +10 in like an 18 parlay. I like that pick as well. I also have them in 2 teasers. The first teaser that I have them in, I'm actually getting, believe it or not, 16.5 points. No brainer for me there. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks actually upset the Chiefs, only because the Chiefs every game has been competitive, and even a team like the Texans, who gave the Cowboys a hard time a couple weeks back, they still went to overtime with a team like that. So again, Seahawks, they got shit to play for. I like them in that fashion. And then I also have them in another teaser where they're actually over-under is only 42.5 points. I think they cover the over-under in the game itself, let alone with that teaser. So, again, that's 3 different plays I got them in off of no teaser and no parlay. Again, it's in my parlay as is. I'm still taking the 10 points and the Seahawks. And to be quite honest with you, I'm still taking the over 49.5 points.
Yeah, that's the last thing I'll say. I like Geno and the points and the over, so I'll go over 49.5 because if they're going to cover that 10 points, that means they're scoring like 20 points themselves, maybe 24, 30 or something like that, where they cover.
So
maybe.
This is where I was saying. So January 8th, the Jaguars, and I appreciate you, McFly. January 8th, the Jaguars and the Titans actually play last game of the season. So this is exactly why no matter what, the Titans have to win this Sunday. Because ultimately, if the Jags lose and they get a 2-game lead, it's still going to come down to 1 game. Let me rephrase that. If the Jags lose tonight, the Titans have to win to get that 2-game lead, knowing that if, God forbid, they drop the last week of the season, they're still ahead of them by a game. If the Jaguars win tonight, even more pressure gets put on them. And now it comes down to week 18 regardless. So
yeah, I think they might they might lose the game knowing that if they just win next week, they get in. So that's what I was saying. This Jags game is going to matter for the.
There's 2 weeks left though.
No,
they still
of
got
course.
Week 17 and week 18 beyond this game. So you can't look at their schedule. You have to beat the Texans no matter what.
Okay.
Well, you know what I'm saying? No matter what. That's your easiest game on your schedule.
No, yeah, I don't know the schedule, but I'm thinking there might be a chance that this Texan game doesn't matter. Whether they win or lose, it's going to come down to that last game. Do you get what I'm saying? Whereas maybe if they win this game, it won't come down to that last game.
Think about what you're saying, though. We don't know who they play week 18, right? The Texans have 1 game all year one. You're not going to put the pressure on the last game of the season to beat the Jags ever. So there's no, we don't need to win this game because the Jags lost. You go, I win this game, I pretty much punch my ticket.
Yeah.
No matter what, I win this game, I pretty much punch my ticket because if the Jags win and you win that game, at least you know it's coming down to the last game of the season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm more or less thinking. Like,
but I'm just thinking. But I'm thinking if it doesn't matter, like meaning if they lose to the Texans or the wins. Well, I'm saying if the Jags win, and then it's going to come down to. It doesn't matter if they beat the Texans or not. Even if they lose, they still beat the Jags. They're in. Or if they win and they still lose to the Jags, they get bumped out, then this game doesn't really matter. And they're going to probably try to get out as soon as possible and work for the next week's game plan.
With your theory, though, you won't know until you know if it matters, which is why no matter what, the game you want to have right now, is the Texans.
Yeah.
Because you know for a fact you're at least putting yourself in a position where you control your own destiny.
Yeah, they know
lose, or
this.
draw.
The coaches know this. That's why they're coaches. But all right, so
Giants, Vikings. Vikings are giving 4 points at home to the Giants. Over/under is 48. Who you got?
I got the Vikings -4, and I got the over of 48. The reason why is this is going to be in a dome. The Minnesota's defense is a little bit overrated. So I think the Giants might be able to score points. If it was the stereotypical Vikings defense, I see them containing the Giants and them not scoring. But the Vikings defense does have some holes in it. It's their offense that's been carrying them. So I do see a lot of points being scored by the Vikings. Some points scored by the Giants, which makes me lean towards the -4 Vikings and then the over of 48.
So the Vikings, to me, have just been all over the place all year. All year. They were favored to they were underdogs against the 6-7 Detroit Lions and actually lost the game. They go against the Colts and they go down 33-0 and somehow muster up the largest comeback in NFL history. They can't do that against the Giants. Because it's in a dome, I think Saquon Barkley finally has one of those breakout games since he's been super duper quiet. I think if the Vikings win this game, it's by a field goal late. So I'm actually going on the opposite side. I like the Giants plus the 4 points, and I'm not touching the over/under.
Okay, yeah, and just some quick lineup blocks. From the Giants, you're going to obviously start Saquon. No receivers. I'm going to start Darius Slayton possibly if you've been rolling around with him as a potential flex. On the Viking side, obviously you're starting Dalvin Cook. You're starting Justin Jefferson. You're starting Hawkinson. And you might even be starting Thielen depending on where your lineup is. So
I also have this in one of the teasers. You guys, this is the third play in my teaser. I'm taking plus 10.5 points as the Giants. I also have them in my straight parlay of plus 4 points, that 18 parlay. And yeah, Coach, I know you're a little biased. You want the Niners to obviously have some good playoff seeding. But I'm with you, man. I think the Vikings might mess around and lose this game, which is why I'm taking points in every fashion, just in case they do pull it out late. I think you still get an opportunity to cash in. Next up, we got the Bengals -3 points against the Patriots. I'll start off with this one. This is a trap game to me. Now, the Patriots are just not the Patriots of old. And I still think the world thinks they are, which is why the Bengals are only favored by 3 points when they've been playing very well at 10-4, looking to run away with the division if they win this game. So it's extremely alarming to see that they're only giving up 3 points. It is in Foxborough. The weather is awful, but Cincinnati's weather is always awful as well. So I don't think there's a disadvantage of going to Foxborough. With that being said, I think that, again, might be a little biased on my behalf as well, but at this point we can't win the division, so I could care less. I kind of want the Bengals to run away with the division at this point and have teams like the Patriots and the Jets lose. This way it helps us squeeze in that 7th seed. As a Steeler fan, just in case you don't know what the fuck team I fuck with. But I could see the Patriots upsetting the Bengals at home, but only because the line is fishy to me. I don't believe that the Bengals should only be favored by 3 points, so something smells funny to me. And this is one of those games where I can just see the Patriots causing havoc to Burrow, and that defense being the highest scoring defense in fantasy terms this year. I'm still rolling the dice. They got me to the postseason. I'm playing the Patriots defense against the Bengals, which is extremely risky. But at home in bad weather, I think that the Patriots cause a couple key turnovers, and that's what keeps them close to where if they lose, last minute field goal, but I think they might mess around and win this game, man.
Yeah, I think the Bengals are just too hot at this point to be betting against them. Like you said, a lot of people think the Patriots are the Patriots of the last couple years, but I think with that blumper, whatever that was last game with the lateral, it kind of shows how, I would say, improperly they're coached this year. So I'm knocking some points off of the Patriots. I don't really see them. Obviously, they're not going to make a run in the playoffs. If they make it, they might not even make it with how bad they've been playing. So
let me ask you something while we're on the coaching, right? A lot of people are saying this is a coaching mistake. But the play design was run with Stevenson on a draw, get down, and go to OT. Stevenson made the decision to lateral the ball. And then from there, obviously, Myers decided he's going to throw it across field back to his QB. And when you're in the heat of the moment, I don't want to sound egotistical, but I'm clutch. Like, I want the ball at the very end. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to make a bonehead move where I decide I'm going to throw it back to my quarterback across the field knowing it's a tie game. It didn't really make too much sense. But when a player like Stevenson tosses you the ball in this heat of the moment and you're like, oh my God, you're not expecting it. All of a sudden it's like, I got to move this ball. And you make a decision in that split second to try and make something happen out of nothing, almost as if you're down. I can't really knock coaching on that, bro. I understand you coach these people, you get them in the right state of mind. But sometimes that's the kind of things where you're like, you know, Jacoby's getting a lot of flack for that play, but Stevenson led the ball off, deciding to pitch it in the first place. And in my opinion, he should be getting flack for the play as well, more than coaching or more than even Jacoby. But Jacoby handled it like a G, talking about, hey, I'll take ownership of it. He gives me the ball as a teammate. He trusts me to do the right thing with the ball, and I made a major mistake trying to make something out of nothing. That's on me, not the coaching, not anybody. And I give him respect for that. So a good coach has his locker room like that.
Yeah, no, of course. But there's two things. Like you said, number one, Stevenson should not have lateraled that ball. No. We know that. That's why they don't lateral the ball as much as they should in the NFL. Not saying they should, but like no one laterals it because it's just such a low probability. Exactly. It's just such a low upside play, number one. Number two, Myers didn't know the score in that moment. It was a J.R. Smith moment. He didn't know what was going on. So I'm going to say that this specific situation is on the players.
Yeah.
But in the overall scheme, when your players are playing like this, it has to do with some type of coaching. It has to do with their preparation. It has to do with how focused they are in practice because that's what Belichick does. And I feel like he doesn't really have it. And especially with – I mean, I could talk about it too long, but like – dude, Matt Patricia is your offensive coordinator calling the plays. Like, he's a defensive guy. Like, what are you even doing? Like, they don't even trust him. That's why Mac Jones is like, yo, like, why are we running the ball? It's just, they're in shambles.
That shows me dog in them.
No, so that shows me shambles, dude.
Me too. I was talking about this last week. I mean, I think they're clearly, you know, you give Tom Brady to any coach and he looks like the best coach of history. So let's make sure we all understand that from last week. But I truthfully believe that's a loss that you stomach and you go home and you know the next thing you're doing is making your entire team look better. And I think it's one of those moments where kind of the opposite effect of when Devonta Adams or Jacoby had the walk-off touchdown as a Raider. And it just kind of flurried the team in with momentum. That team's got passion. You see Mac Jones yelling and screaming and telling them to stop doing this, and no one's kind of biting their tongue where you would think they would.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, man. I think the Patriots kind of roll off that, man, and I think they steal that win against the Bengals, man.
Okay, so moving on to another interesting game that I like a lot, but I also think it's a trap game. It's the Lions who are favored by 2.5 points traveling to the Panthers with Sam Darnold, who's been looking good with the Panthers. Over under 43.5. To me, this is an easy call, but that's why I say it's a trap game. I'm all over the Lions minus 2.5. Only problem is it's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold in Carolina. And we know Jared Goff, he doesn't play as well in the cold or at home. And the splits are real. But Dan Campbell, a good coach. Lions are grinding. They need to get this win. They're in the hunt. They could get a playoff spot. I don't think there's any way they blow this game. Like I said, we've talked about coaching. We've talked about teams buying in. And right now, I think the Lions have bought in. So, and another thing, too. Lions rush defense. Really good right now. Them and San Francisco are the top two rushing Ds. So, you could throw on them. But is Sam Darnold and DJ Moore going to throw on him? Maybe, but you know when the Panthers are doing their thing, Deontay Foreman's got 30 carries and 200 yards, and Chuba Hubbard's got 15 carries for this and blah blah blah. So as long as the Lions can contain the run, I see them kind of winning this game in a good fashion. But then the Lions are always close. They say it's going to be a close game. Probably is going to be a close game. But I do see the Lions potentially dominating the Panthers.
I got Detroit +4 and 2 teasers, and I also have them in the 18 parlay minus 2.5. This is a game that I tell you guys once a week. I tell you this is the game that Vegas wants to clean up on. Because if you really think the Panthers are going to keep within a field goal at any point in this game when they have no one left on their roster and Detroit's making a backdoor push. Like I said 2 weeks ago, I said I feel like Detroit is legitimately going to make the postseason and shock a lot of teams because they've kept close in every single game for the most part except for the Patriots game, and they're putting up points constantly. It's like, bro, this team is definitely sneaky. And no one wants them in the postseason. They might not know it, but no one wants them in the postseason because this is a team that can outscore anybody, no matter who their defense is. You play the Eagles, you put up 35 points. This is a team that's scary. So I have a lot riding on the teaser because I'd rather take the 4 points, knowing that if they do lose by a field goal last minute by the Panthers because of cold weather and they're at home and this happens, at least I still win. But in my 18 parlay, I'm hoping they handle business, win by at least a field goal late, and I'm looking good. But yeah, I'm all over the -2.5 in the Lions as well. But this is that game, you guys, that you just go, wow, it's so obvious.
And for really quick lineup blocks for the Lions, I think Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift both played themselves out of lineup blocks. Amon-Ra St. Brown's the only guy I'm rolling with on the Lions. And from the Panthers standpoint, I guess DJ Moore, but he's not even a lock. So, and
I'm actually forced to play Jared Goff this week in one of my leagues because Jalen Hurts is obviously not suiting up this week. I'm praying they lose. I want the Eagles to lose to the Cowboys so bad because then the following week they're going to roll them out against the Saints to win and then get that ticket to the NFC champs and also first round playoff bye. So
and real quick,
I hope Goff does well, man. I hope he's
before we move on, I just want to shout out Sean. He's with us every week. We're going to talk about the Dolphins in a little bit. I think they're getting a little disrespect. Only favored by 4, but that game is coming up in a couple games.
Yeah, shout out to Sean, man. Nice to see you, bro.
Yeah, so the last 10 o'clock game, Falcons versus Ravens. We got Desmond Ridder starting for the Falcons. No one I'm starting on the Falcons side. Only positive of this is Drake London and his target share of the last 2 weeks, 11 and 10 targets. He's getting about 44% target share. It's not really, it's not a real true number because there's such a low volume of passing offense and they pass so little through the air. So there's no one really I'm starting from the Falcons. Even Algier and Patterson, it's tough to start them. On the Ravens side, Lamar Jackson's out for this game, so Snoop Huntley's going to be go ahead and quarterbacking. I think you're rolling out J.K. Dobbins. He's played really well since he's been healthy. He's been really explosive, and he's looked really good for his last couple games. And then obviously Mark Andrews. You don't like to start him, but I think where the tight end position is right now, you kind of have no choice to start him.
McFly must have seen my video, what to do if Jalen Hurts goes down. If Jared Goff is available in your league, pick him up. I really think this is a week he puts in work. I know the weather's bad, but I can see checkdowns to Jamal Williams or Swift and getting in there. I think him and St. Brown's connection is official. I also have St. Brown, so to me it made sense to kind of parlay those two up. But yeah, man, on to the Falcons and Ravens. Ravens -6.5 points. I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't like the spread at all because the Ravens haven't really been able to do much with Lamar in the lineup lately. And then now he's out of the lineup for the past couple of weeks and still going to be out of the lineup. The Falcons have been one of those doggy teams that kind of just put in work. There's no Mariota either. Very similar to the Steelers game where it was Ravens and Steelers and they're both on their basically second string quarterbacks. At one point even third string for the Ravens. They still mustered up a win, but it wasn't until late. Look, they're a better defensive team than the Falcons, so I do believe that the game will go accordingly in their favor. But the pick for me that's a no-brainer is the over, even though it's only 35.5 points. I told you guys this last week. I said I would not be surprised if the Browns shut out the Ravens, but the Browns would cover by more than 3, no problem. Well, they held the Ravens to 3 points. Yes, there was 2 Tucker missed field goals that game, which is very, very ironic because that never happens. But this is a very similar scenario to me, where the Ravens are going to struggle to put up points without having Lamar in there. He's literally their entire Michael Jordan style of offense. And the Falcons, they don't have Mariota anymore, who was a good game manager. So even though it's low, I got the under 35.5 points for the Ravens and Falcons game.
Okay. If I had to pick, I'm going with the Ravens -6.5 and also the under 35.5. The main reason is that obviously you have the change of quarterback for the Falcons, which I think is a downgrade from Mariota. Also, the Ravens' rush defense is very good, top in the league, so it's going to be hard for them to move the ball with their running backs. And then lastly, we know Lamar Jackson's out, but, dude, Snoop Huntley is like a mini Lamar. It's the same offense, you know. Like that's the thing is their offense is
no mini Lamar.
No, he's not mini Lamar, but it's the same type of system, same type of guy. Like that's the thing I like about them. Their quarterback, like, a lot of teams
3 points against the Browns,
but that's a divisional tough game, right? But at the same time, they could score points though. They're not like just like they're not decimated like all of a sudden. Because even when like RG3 was playing backup quarterback for the Ravens, it's a similar style. It's a runner.
RG started for an organization for multiple years though, bro. This guy is garbage, bro.
I know.
He's garbage.
But we'll see. But look, Baltimore's 9-5. And I really quick, I want to shout out my boy Omer Eats in here calling me a nerd. This guy, he's been crushing it every day doing Russell Westbrook player props on like assists, rebounds, points, whatever it is, and just cleaning up every single day. I think we need to start doing some player props and whatnot.
Hey, man, I think every time I've listed a prop bet in this particular show, I think I've been right on every single one of them. I just don't do them enough, but it's only when I get a mad read. Last week, my read was Kittle because, of course, you had a situation where there's no more Debo. I felt like he would score a touchdown. That was my prop bet. He didn't score one. He scored two. So I like prop bets. I'm with you, Omer. I'm with you, bro. I think prop bets are they're secretly advantageous, man, because you can find some spots.
Thomas Bryant, 2 3-pointers for plus 340. He's been riding that. So he's been hitting like 2-3 a game, but this guy's just
pretty gangster. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so let's move on to 1 o'clock. We got the Commanders versus the 49ers. The Niners are favored by 7. Spread is 37.5. Chase Young is going to be playing for the Commanders, so I think that's why it could be a little bit more of a dogfight than what you would think on paper with how good the 49ers are playing, how good their defense is playing. I see this being a little bit of a competitive game. 7 points is a lot. But I think the Commanders have too much to play for, especially after losing to the Giants. And I do actually see them covering the 7 against the 49ers.
I'll be honest with you, man. I feel like this is going to be one of those games you push if you take the Niners -7. But I'm 100% rocking with the Niners -7. I think worst case scenario, you push. I do not believe the Commanders have a chance in this game when the Niners have legitimately dominated every aspect of the game on every opponent they've faced since they've had CMC. Didn't matter who's at the helm. That defense is so ferocious that I have the hard time thinking the Commanders can put up more than 15, 14 points this game. Yeah. And I think ultimately that's why you're going to be in a position where the Niners will put up at least 25 points plus because of defense, turnovers, punt returns, and, of course, because of their offensive power.
One thing I do want to mention is Brock Purdy and the Niners. He's looked good, right? He beat Brady, sure, and then he looked good against the Seahawks. But do they really look that good against the Seahawks?
Yes.
I think defensively they did.
No, the Seahawks game was a two-score game the whole time.
I think defensively they put so much pressure on Geno. It was just like every play was almost a sack. Every play was almost a ball.
And that's going to happen again.
No, but they had a couple big plays to Kittle, the 2 big plays to Kittle. Like, if it wasn't for the big plays, I don't think –
the problem is you're seeing these big plays because of how potent their offense is. Like, when you have to respect CMC, the middle of the field becomes open.
But they're getting Young back. Like, they could maybe – I don't know. We'll see. And then for the over-under, I'm not touching it, but I would go under 37.5. I see it being a close game. I see them maybe making it difficult for Purdy. It's not going to be easy sailing for Mr. Irrelevant. Like, he's coming in this limelight where he has all the glory now. So I think that's a little bit overhyped. So I'm going –
I'm Commanders. With you, Coach. Every game since KC, every game since getting CMC, no matter who's at the helm. I mean, man, this team is serious, bro.
Okay, and then next game, we got the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Cowboys favored by 4.5, over under 46.5. Jalen Hurts not playing, obviously.
Yeah, this one's a hard one for me. Again, man, I'm really hoping the Cowboys handle business because I ultimately need Jalen Hurts to have a reason to suit up next week just in case I make the championship in any of my fantasy leagues. I am in the semifinals in all of them. So I'm hoping the Cowboys favored by 4.5 going up against Minshew. I'm hoping their defense can step up because their defense has not been on point. Here's my read, man. A.J. Brown is not a must start to me, and I know everyone's going to make the mistake and still consider starting this guy. You got Diggs, is on the other side of the ball. Diggs is a really good ball hawk. He's definitely going to give some mislooking. Look, here's the deal. As a defense, Cowboys are going to be playing Minshew, and I think it's super easy to look like you're in man, drop back into cover 2, and just get a couple picks off of this dude Minshew. And I think ultimately the Cowboys have no problem winning the game. No problem at all. So with that being said, be careful with A.J. Brown. If you have players that are ultimately suited up, that are healthy and have their starting quarterback like a Amon St. Brown or even like an Amari Cooper, really look deep at that, because although it's in a dome and the weather's phenomenal, Minshew and A.J. Brown don't have chemistry like Hurts and A.J. Brown do. So I still got to roll them out, I think, but I'm really hesitant.
The one thing I'm going to say about that is that A.J. Brown doesn't really even need a quarterback. He's that good. Like, that's what he was doing
He's
in
just a
tennis.
monster,
He's
right?
just
He's
a
a
beast.
ball
But,
hawk.
like, and then one thing, too, with Gardner Minshew, he's got swag, and he is not scared to go out
Ball's
there.
all
And
over
he's not scared to go out there and fling it. So he's not going to be like, oh, let's just
Facts.
run the ball and just. No, they're going to try.
Facts.
But the Cowboys defense too good. Micah Parsons playing so well. They're going to put pressure on them. It's going to be hard to move it. From the Cowboys side, you're going to be starting Zeke. You're going to be starting Pollard. You're going to be starting CeeDee Lamb. And then the way the quarterbacks are looking this week, you might even have to start Dak. But
I prefer my Purdy's to always go commando.
Yeah.
This guy, man. This guy's Sean, bro.
so I'm taking Cowboys minus 4.5. I don't know about the over/under because I'm not sure if the Eagles could score or not. But if Minshew's able to throw 2+ touchdowns, then obviously that game will go over. But I'm going minus 4.5.
So I got the parlay. This is in one of my parlays. I'm actually going against the grain. I'm taking +5 at the time when I took the parlay. And I'm taking the Eagles because I just one of those feelings, man. They're going to win anyway because that's just the way the football fucking league is. But again, hopefully I think it's going to be close regardless. I think a field goal at that last minute or maybe even a backdoor cover by Minshew when they're up, down 2 scores.
I see that if Hurts was playing, I see it being because there's like
Hurts
a
is playing,
Hurts and Dak. Obviously, yeah, of course, but but I think it's going to be a kind of a little bit easier game with the quarterback matchup.
Minshew's going to do it for Leach, man. Hey,
and so
you never know.
And let's move on to the Saturday night game, which is Raiders versus your Steelers. Steelers minus 2.5, over under 38.5. I know who I'm taking. What do you got for that game?
So I'll be honest with you. This game actually scares me. It really does. Raiders, man. I've been high on them ever since the crying tears, or no tears, but the crying, and they've lost one time since then. And even that game, they were ahead the whole game until the Rams came back. It's very, 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 very scary to me. The bottom line is if either of these teams lose, they're out of the postseason. It's just that simple. Now, the advantage is the Steelers, believe it or not, and I'll tell you why. Coach Tomlin on primetime has the best numbers in the history of the NFL at this point with this many games being played. His winning percentage is out of control. I think he has 3 losses his entire career. It's pretty dumb. It's also at home, right? So instead of playing in a dome in in Vegas, and coming from Oakland, these guys like Carr and whatnot, and having good weather their whole time, they're going to be in shambles in a night game in Pittsburgh. And I think that the advantage, getting back Pickett, who's been really efficient with the ball, I actually think the Steelers are going to win the game outright. I know they're favored by 2.5 points. I'm moneylining the Steelers. Also, I got a side bet with Coach, man, for them to get 7 wins on the year, and they very well could do it this upcoming Saturday night on Christmas Eve for your boy and give me a little present. But the game scares me, so I'm very biased. Don't pick this game based upon anything I'm saying. Don't pick any of the games based upon what I'm saying, truthfully. But yeah, I think the Steelers handle money line.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the Steelers in this one, just specifically, like you said, Tomlin, prime time, trying to get to 500. So many things that the Steelers need to do is need to win this game. On the Raiders side, you're obviously starting Josh Jacobs, you're starting Devontae Adams, and then you're going to be starting Darren Waller, who came back and had a touchdown last game. As far as the Steelers go, I think it's an upgrade because Pickett's back, so I'm feeling comfortable starting Freiermuth, even though he put a 0 last game, and Pickens. But I got to go with the Steelers minus 2.5, and also I like the over of 38.5 because the Raiders do like to throw the ball. And like you said, maybe these cold, wet games a little bit. Devontae Adams breaks free, gets a little 80-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last week.
It goes to the over of 38.5.
We saw it last week, very similar over-under. Sean, he had a lock of the week for you guys to take to under, so fade Sean. Even on his birthday, the guy's way off. No, I'm playing. But no, I agree with you on this situation. I think Steelers play mistake-free ball. I think the Raiders can put up some points just because their defense is phenomenal. Josh Jacobs will have a field day against the Steelers. Our run defense has not been up to par, and he's a fucking baller. So that's another reason why I'm like, man, if we can push and we can get ahead and kind of take the run out, he can still catch in the backfield. So definitely a game that I like the over on. 100% agree with you on that, sick as full. Listen, Franco Harris, man, rest in peace. When Franco Harris became a Steeler, he literally changed that organization from being schlups to all-time greats. He was a Hall of Famer. He lost his life at 72 years old, very, very young. I think they have a lot to play for. I think the Raiders have all times to play us after Franco Harris passes is fucked. And I think ultimately that's why the Steelers will win this game. that heart. It's kind of like the Lakers. They won it all the year Kobe died. And so when Franco Harris passes midweek, again, rest in peace to him. But for Franco Harris, you guys, give us an opportunity to still run in the playoff run. Give me an opportunity to take that bet from Coach. And I got him in my parlays and teasers.
All right, so let's move on to Sean's team. We have the 10 a.m. game on Sunday, a little Christmas Day action. We got the Packers going to Miami. Miami -4. I feel it's a little disrespectful with how bad the Packers have been playing this year. And then over under 50, which is a big number. What do you like in this game?
Coach got knowledge, man, for days, huh? I love it. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's too disrespectful, and I'll tell you why. The Packers got a bye week at the right time. They came in, they handled business, It's Aaron Rodgers.
The Rams?
Yeah, no, I feel you. Trust me, I feel you. But it wasn't close, They just basically stomped on him the whole way through. The thing is this. The Dolphins have lost 3 in a row. 3 in a row. Packers are healthy out of a bye week. I think the Dolphins are going to actually have a lot more trouble than people think, and I'll tell you why. The run defenses on both teams are suspect. So I actually can see a lot of running, a lot of positive gains, chunk plays, making it 3rd and shorts, and I can see a lot of conversions that ultimately lead to points. So I actually like the over, even though it's 50 points in this game, because I believe that this is going to be a really nice shootout to start the day. As far as, there goes Sean with the under again. Hell yeah, he's going under, so we're good, guys. I'm going over all day, fading Sean's under plays. He likes to go commando, no underwear, so he loves the under, doesn't like underwear. But no, man, I actually think this is going to be a struggle for the Dolphins. They've lost 3 in a row. Sometimes the momentum, you get hot at the right time, and you could also get cold at the wrong time. And I think right now they got cold at the wrong time. I think the one positive to take away from the Bills game last week is that they're hanging in with the team that's the Super Bowl favorites, right? So that's a good sign. So I don't think they lost the momentum and they're done. That's that. I think this is a game that they have to get a win and get right back in the driver's seat and stay in a position to be in the playoff hunt for the wild card spot. So it's not that I think they're going to lose. Don't get it misconstrued. I think the Dolphins win this game. But I would not be surprised if the Dolphins win with a last-minute field goal, just as much as I won't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers starts discount double-checking all over the field. I'm sorry, Sean, but I can see this guy, Aaron Rodgers, just tearing it up this week, and I'm nervous about it. So I got to take the 4 points and hope that the Dolphins, for my boy, win by a last-minute field goal.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, looking at the last 3 games for the Dolphins, they lost to the Niners on the road. Niners are coming into form. They lost to the Chargers on the road, 23-17. I was a little disappointed in their offense in that game. And then they lost to the Bills on the road, 32-29. So they're still in these games. They're still a potential, team that could make a run to a Super Bowl. I'm going to definitely take the Dolphins -4. I'm also going to go the under of 50. I'm going to roll with Sean just because I don't see Aaron Rodgers scoring too many points. Don't get me wrong. I used to be the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan. Discount double check, never count him out. But I think he hit that cliff, and he's kind of just fading out now. And there's only about maybe 1-2 years max of this team together before they disassemble. And
see, I'm looking at the young receiving core, and they're just starting to finally understand how Rodgers likes shit. And I'm starting to see, damn, dude, don't count them out, man. They got such a young receiving core that if they can get the confidence at the right time and start doing things the right way, my God, I don't know, man. I think it's scary. Yes, a Monday night team going on the road starts slow. I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. That's definitely a statistic out there. Again, though.
Yeah, but only 24 points against the Rams. And I told you, if Watson doesn't have a big touchdown
at the very end, they were at the goal line and they had to just knee it.
Yeah.
And he tried to score.
They do that a lot, yeah. So, all right, going to the 1 o'clock game. Pretty boring game on paper. Broncos favored by 2.5 points, traveling to the Rams. And the Rams are completely out of it. Over under 36.5. I believe Russell Wilson is going to be back under center for the Broncos, which is why I think they're favored, even though no one's really playing for anything. Who do you like in this game?
I refuse to touch this game. Both teams have 4 wins under their belt. I can't stand it. I'm not touching 2.5 points on the Broncos. I'm definitely not giving 2.5 points. I think the Rams have the advantage being at home, and that Baker Mayfield is possibly a guy that they're going to keep under the wing of Matt Stafford next year, and possibly he's their guy that they're going to try and make up as this is the franchise guy all of a sudden. And I could just totally see them letting them get a win here, 2-1. They finish hot in the year. So if I had to choose anyone, I would take any points. It didn't matter whose team was getting them. In this case, I'm taking the Rams at home getting points. I'll take that all day.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick who's going to win because you don't know who wants it more. But I think that's what makes me lean to the over of 36.5 because both teams don't have much to play for other than the fact of let's just go out there, fling the ball around, let's have some fun, let's score some points. And I think that the offense is going to be a little bit more hyped than the defense.
So there's been one time this year that the Broncos put up more than 16 points, and it was when Russell wasn't playing. So I can't touch the over in this because this team can't fucking score.
Well, I just feel like they have nothing to lose, so they're just going to go for it.
Sure.
Right? It's not going to like both teams have nothing to lose.
Rams
so Baker's
held
going
the Packers to 24 points. You think the Rams can hold the Broncos to, let's just say, 20 points?
Possibly, but in SoFi, weather conditions usually should be good. Like I said, team like if they both had something to play for, I would lean towards the under because Denver has a good defense. Rams, their defense is kind of slacking. So and Latavius Murray's look good running the ball, and the Broncos do look good running the ball too. Like the last game, they got away from the passing game, and they just gave it to Latavius Murray, who had himself a game. So, like I said, I'm going the over in that game, and then we have a Sunday night game. We got the Bucks traveling to the Cardinals. The Bucks are 7.5-point favorites. Over is 40.5. Who do you like in that game?
Very, very simple to me. Bucks have everything and everything to play for. The Arizona has no Kyler Murray. They're out of playoff contention. I got to take the Bucks, no problem. It's 7.5 points, which is just flat out disturbing. So I have them in a teaser -1 or something like that. Over under of 40.5. I actually have the under in this game. I think that 10 points per quarter is the maximum these two teams are putting up combined, maximum. So I like the under. And if anything, you can maybe moneyline the Bucks if you got a wild parlay where there's like 8 different teams in it to make it kind of worth it, because 7.5 points is just disgusting. I don't even know if the Bucks can score 8 points in a game, to be honest.
Let me just say something from a gambling perspective. If you're doing parlays, right, let's forget this game. This game's a trap game. It's going to be hard to pick. But one thing I like to do is take the Bucks money line on the last leg of a parlay, and if it comes down to it, just blindly fire the Cardinals plus 7.5. So this way you could either hit the hedge of the 7.5, or you'll hit the Bucks covering, or you can hit both, and that's the goal, is to hit both. So it's one of those situations where it's not a read play. It's just a logistics gambling play where you could actually make more money on it. But if I have to pick this game, I'm going under 40.5. The reason is the Bucks offense has not really looked that good. It's not of what it used to be. Their defense is not that bad. And then from the Cardinals' perspective, they don't have Kyler. They don't even have Colt McCoy. They're starting Trace McSorley. So I'm going the under. Last game, let's just do this really quick. Monday Night Football, Chargers versus the Colts.
We'll preview it a little bit right now, man. I like the Chargers -4.5 points. I also like the over 45.5. However, I'm going to wait to see some of the plays this week, kind of get a little bit more of a feel for it personally. I do have it in a teaser. On one of the teasers, I like to have it on the Monday night game, which can hopefully one of those hedging scenarios where you take the Colts plus the 4.5 on the last leg of the parlay to start your week.
I just don't like to end my bets on Monday, though.
That's what I said. I did it one time this year. Steelers terrorized them over. Same team, Colts. So I'm rolling with the same theme. I like having a couple plays roll over into Monday because it's like, yo, if Monday comes and that's alive, if it's alive, I know for a fact I'm up to start that next week. So again, it's only one of my teasers I have it to where I have the Chargers in it.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers -4.5. I told you guys last week I bet on them to win the Super Bowl 15-1 only because of the strength of schedule. After this, they're playing the Rams, they're playing the Broncos. They should win all these games and easily find a way into the playoffs. Look to get their defense healthy. Derwin James comes back, Bosa comes back. It's a good team.
Mad Capper says take KC. Yeah, we taking KC. We just don't like the 10 points, man. If you missed that earlier.
They never cover, man. KC never covers. My favorite team.
Hey, real quick, you guys, don't forget, if you're new, if you're watching a review of this, a rerun of this, and you're not live, Either way, man, it's very simple. At Onside Kicking It is on all platforms: Twitter, Instagram, obviously TikTok and YouTube. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Dude, if they like football, have them join us. But most importantly, hit that bell. That notification will alert you when we go live. And we're also going to be posting our picks tonight for Thursday Night Football special. So please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. And get your fantasy news here first, man.
Yeah, and do me a favor, too. Once this goes down, hop onto my YouTube at Sick as Fool. I make shorts. I preview my games, preview the Monday night, preview the Thursday night, give you some waiver wires. So do me a
Say your
favor.
best part, man. The guy's got his Pitbull skateboarding on his channel, for fuck's sake, man. Like, subscribe, and subscribe to his channel, man. At Sick as Fool, bro. I see it, yeah.
The Pitbull on the skateboard.
Let's run it.
That's me. So follow. We'll see you guys. I think we're actually not going to be here next week. We might do a recap on Sunday. If we miss you, well, obviously, when we come back, we love being here with you guys. So we look forward to all it. And Merry Christmas to you guys.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that fun stuff.